We are back, week 8 of the NFL slate, and let's get right into our betting check-in. Our season totals thus far, I'm sitting at 23, 17, and 1. Ben's 18 and 18. A little bit of a beating this week for Ben. I think he was 17 and 14, if I remember correctly, going into the week. But 500 is good. I mean, that's really solid. When you look at some of these ESPN guys and these guys that are on TV giving picks, I mean, they're like 350. So the fact that we're both 500 or better, that's something to if you're a new viewer here, new fan, subscribe and watch all these videos. Follow us on social because every Sunday we're giving out these picks for free. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys are
and
following these
I mean
cappers.
the thing that I'm most proud of with it is I'm only 50% full of shit. The other 50% of me, I got some credibility, but the other half of me, yeah, I'm just an asshole.
Yeah, so 50% of the time you're gonna get bang and bet from Benny, and so
Yeah, you'll either get the dark horse of the week or the worst pick of the week out of me.
exactly. So, I mean, why not follow and tail and go check us out on social media for, like I said, every Sunday we're giving out these picks for free, man. So, that's how we've been doing so far on our bets. To check in on our Pats, check in our picks for the Pats throughout the season. I am 2-5. Ben is 3-4. We can't read this team just as much as this team
No one
can't read
can.
its team.
No one can.
Yeah,
It make
it's
no sense.
it's been it's been a bumpy start for sure. That is for sure. And so, I mean, we're gonna touch on the Pats here in just a second, but we're gonna go back into Tipsy Bowl of the week from last week. Lions Ravens. We all know what happened in that game. Uh, Ben was right, completely right. And so, I mean, I guess if you're gonna
in my
follow a tipsy bet of
in
the
my
week, it might be
worst
this one.
in my worst week of the year in terms of picking games, I think I had my best take outside of the Phillies going to the World Series. I think I had my best take ever on this podcast with the Ravens just destroying the Lions like I
Oh
thought they
yeah.
would.
No, they
Um,
they they completely took care of
they
business. So,
outclassed them. They just
re-
completely
yeah,
outclassed them.
really impressive there, Ben. And we'll be looking for you to make up and do it again this week. So
Nah, I'm a lost cause. It's over.
it's
It's
a one
over.
time.
I've peaked.
It's a
I've peaked.
one time charm right there. So going into this week 8 slate, we're gonna go ahead and touch on some of these games. We're gonna go into the NFL MVP check in here, and then we're gonna touch on the World Series, baby. Look at the Snakes. The Snakes are in it. Can you believe
Yeah.
that? Snakes Rangers. The Diamondbacks are a gritty team here, and just as much as they are, so are the Rangers. So what a World Series we have in store.
Yeah.
Very excited. But without further ado, let's get right into the NFL slate. And we're going to start here. Eagles at Commanders. The Commanders are 7-point underdogs at home, 43.5 the over under. This is a game that's interesting. Obviously, the Eagles have had a little bit of a bumpier road. Jalen Hurts has had a bumpier road as of last season. And, he's kind of being talked about as if, is he falling down to earth? Is he not as good as we thought? Was he just having an outlier year last year? Whatever it is, I mean, it's been interesting to monitor. And now they're going to go ahead and they're favored by 7 points going on the road to Washington. What do you think, Ben? Who do you like in this game, and what do you think about the Eagles?
Yeah, I've been saying it all year. I really don't think the Eagles have been playing well at all, especially when compared to last year. Um, but with that said, I'm going to take them to win this week, even though I think Jalen and that entire offense have struggled quite a bit. They've struggled immensely at times, honestly. But then again, they just keep finding ways to win. Um, One thing I think is interesting about this game is that when they played earlier in the year, they went to fucking overtime. So I think that's something that you need to monitor as well. However, I think the Eagles are going to get it done. They're a better team. They
Mm-hmm.
need to find a way to get going in the right direction, which I think can be really hard to do when in terms of the standings and your record, you're being rewarded for playing from realistically what is the wrong way. It's not the way that they want to be playing, that they want to be winning. Given how hard it is to win in the NFL, they're not playing to their ability, which we've been saying this too. shows how good they are and how good they
Yeah.
can be once they get going. But I'm going to go with them to win this week, and for their sake, hopefully it's a start of stepping in the right direction for them.
Yeah, and you said that really nicely. They've been a different team from last year, but they've showed at parts of the season, at points of games in specific, that maybe they're back. It hasn't really been a full season long thing though just yet for them, where it's been consistent, and yet they're back fully, they're dominating, and we're waiting on that to happen, if it will
Right,
happen this year. So that's a good point you made there. One thing I will say is the Commanders always play the Eagles very
they
tough.
do.
Last year, I think the only bad loss the Eagles had all year was the Commanders.
Yep.
They really played terrible in that game, and I think Commanders are kind of just a team that's just going to play them tough. +7 is an interesting bet. The one thing that I'd be a little bit worried about is that now you're getting Lane Johnson off of, I believe, 2 weeks after that injury. Even though he did play last week, he's going to be healthier most likely unless he re-injured something. But that is not something that I think happened. And then Jalen Carter is going to be a little bit more rested. This pass rush is going to get after the Commanders. Sam Howell is getting sacked like nobody else in the league,
Right.
and it's going to be an interesting thing to see. What is going to happen with this Commanders team if they can't protect Sam Howell, if they can't score points. I mean, you also have Jonathan Allen said. You got guys like Montez Sweat, and you got guys like Chase Young that might be on the trade block. So is this a Commanders team that's just going to phone it in this year and start selling at the
I mean,
deadline?
hey, it's really starting to look that way, right? And with honestly, what their second biggest rival, I'd say Cowboys. What Cowboys are number one for them, right? Biggest rival.
Yeah.
But I'd say the Eagles, obviously, or the Giants are right there as well. And if this team just comes in, a team that, as you just said, has played you well, similarly to how the Dolphins used to play the Pats well, and how the Chargers used to play the not the Colts, the Broncos well.
Yeah.
If you get steamrolled by them, with them coming to your building where you have routinely played this team very well, like you just said, and you just get rolled,
hmm
definitely time to sell at the deadline. Get rid of some of your more valuable trade pieces and see what you can build from there.
Yeah, no, completely agree on that. Now we're gonna go and touch on the this Patriots at Dolphins game. We're going down to Miami. Miami is 9.5 point favorites. 47 is the line here for
Not even
the over and
excited.
under. And this is an interesting game because obviously everyone knows the Patriots are coming off of a huge win, and then the Dolphins have been falling a little bit more down to earth in recent weeks than they
Tiny
started
bit.
off in the season. So if we're gonna kind of balance these two teams here, Patriots are coming in with probably too high of expectations. Dolphins are
Yep.
probably coming in a little bit lower.
Yep.
Uh, it's gonna be an interesting one. If I had to go ahead and give you a pick here, I wouldn't say the Dolphins are gonna win by 9 points, 9.5 points. Jalen Ramsey just came out on Twitter and said that he isn't confirmed to
He's
play, even
not
though there
playing,
was a
right?
report. He said he's not confirmed to play,
Okay.
and he might, but the report of him for sure playing is not
Gotcha.
true. So
Gotcha.
we'll see what happens with that. Tyreek Hill is playing, even though he's a little banged up. So this is a team that's a little beat up. Isaiah Wynn is on IR for them, for the Dolphins now, obviously former Pat. And the Pats are definitely beat up too. I saw something, I think there was 26
Last
or
week there was 20 names listed on the injury report.
right? Yeah, and so this game is going to be, a little bit of who's healthier as well as who can execute better. If I had to give you a pick here, I think the Dolphins win this game. 9.5. I don't think that's the case. J.C. Jackson has been playing very well. I think Tyreek Hill is just a bad matchup for him, though. I think Tyreek might just burn him a
Is he
lot.
playing?
Tyreek, yeah,
Is he
he.
confirmed playing?
I believe so. Yeah,
That's
I
great
know.
news.
Yeah, I know it was closer to. It was a chance he wasn't going to play, but I'm pretty sure it's confirmed he's playing. That's always going to be trouble. I think Jalen Waddle might have a big
Yay.
game. I think Tyreek, we might do some type of thing where we have, safety over the top, maybe, JC on him, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
it's the thing that annoys me about the way they played Miami earlier in the year in week 2. Everyone's like, "Oh, they played great defensively. What a good game plan." No, they didn't. They didn't play great defensively. They played with their tails between their legs, afraid of letting up big plays. Like, sure, is that
Mm,
smart to do? Sure. But let's not act like the Pats took their best 11 guys, matched them up with Miami's best 11 guys, and just beat them playing one on one ball. No, you didn't. You didn't. You played blanket coverage. You tried to limit the damage as much as you could, which to your credit, you did. But let's not act like it was some great defensive mastermind performance that we've seen Bill have in the past, because
yeah.
it just simply wasn't that.
Yeah, no, it's well said. Yeah, I don't think the Pats win this game. It's hard. It's very hard, as you could tell with our picks, our Pats picks for the year. It's hard to read this team.
They make no sense.
One thing I do want to say is here's my take on this whole Belichick, contract extension report and into this whole he might be out of the off the team, getting fired, whatever. Before that, I think that the goal was for this season was Belichick went up to Kraft and was like, we can't keep middling in the league. We can't keep being a middle tier team because you end up with, you know, not great pick in the drafts. You end up with false hope. You're not as enticing in free agency. The capital doesn't mean as much. Whatever it is, it's just not a good spot to be in the NFL. You want to be up there or you want to be in a full rebuild. Those are the two ways that you're really going to have a chance at, building a solid roster here. So if I had to guess, I think this is what happened. I think Belichick went up to Kraft, told him that. Kraft agreed. Belichick said, I know what happens throughout a season, though. If I lose these first 3 games badly, they're going to be asking for my head, and you're going to have nothing else. You're going to have to fire me just because everyone's going to be calling for it. So they made a handshake agreement or an actual agreement, whatever it is, that he's going to be extended a few more years on a contract, locked it in. They both agreed to being a little bit worse this year. Exactly what he thought was going to happen happens. People are calling for his head after 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to leak that I got an extension. So they're not done with me and they're not going to fire me. So, like, eat that, Pats fans. That's what he's saying. And then on top of that, he's like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. You guys are like, I gave you guys a dynasty. This is his point of view. I gave you guys a dynasty. I gave you guys 20 years of dominance,
Which he did.
which he did. And he's like, you can't even deal with a rough 6 weeks or a rough 1 year in the span that's going to help us in the future on a great quarterback draft. So you know what he said? I think he goes, screw it. I'm going to leak it myself. I got the contract. So one, I'm staying. Screw you guys.
Fuck
As
you.
yeah, as into the Pats fans. And then two, I think he's going to be like, you know what? I don't even want to do this anymore. I was going to say I was going to rebuild and try to build this organization again to have another dynasty before I'm out. But now you guys don't deserve it. What I'm going to do is we're going to keep middling. I'm going to get 7 wins a year, maybe 8 for a couple, 2, 3, 4 more seasons until I break the record for all-time wins. And once I set that record, I'm out. I'm going to take my money, take all the accolades I've had in my career, and I'm going to leave. I think that is exactly what happened. And I think it's a bad thing for us because I would love to see a Belichick. Belichick GM has not been great as of recent history, but we've never ever seen a Belichick rebuild situation as a GM. What if he's good at it? What if he is going to be able to load up on these picks, get high picks, and just nail on some of these picks? Or maybe when he has capital finally for one of the first times in his entire career, he goes ahead and he trades that and he gets a guy or gets a couple guys. So I'm kind of disappointed. I'm disappointed in Pats fans for calling for his head so soon because I think there was a plan, and I feel like what I'm saying here, it's a little bit out there, but I
It's a bit
think it's pretty
conspiracy
real.
ish.
It's definitely conspiracy-ish, but I think it's a little realistic because what have we been doing for the past 3 years? Yes, of course we made the playoffs, but everyone knew our playoff team was not going the distance. I
Well,
mean,
well, well. Let me play devil's advocate
let's hear it.
about Max rookie year. Week 13, people were calling the Pats a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Now, obviously, that was proven to be
Yeah.
false, and
Coming off that
was
win streak, right? Yeah.
was proven to be a bit of an overreaction. But there was a point in time where it was looking like, oh man, this team might get Odell, they might get a different receiver, and then they could go on a deep run, which honestly
Mhm.
is exactly what that team was missing. So the one thing I'll disagree with you on is that playoff team was a legitimately damn good team. Like they were actually really good.
So everything I'm saying here is kind of conspiracy like, as we just said, but I think it's a very real possibility. I think Belichick knows this is one of the best QB classes that he's ever going to see, and at least in his rest of his career, I think he knows that it's the best that he's going to see. So that's my take with that. Um, and I think because of all the backlash that happened, uh, I think the Pats are just going to keep middling. I think we're gonna keep middling. We're not gonna be really bad this year. We're probably gonna be a little bit worse than we were in past years, maybe 6 wins. And we're gonna end up with the 12th pick or 11th pick, whatever it is. We're gonna get a fucking safety, and we're gonna suck for the next 3 years. Belichick's gonna break the record off of
A
Jeff
4-win
Fisher
season.
Jeff Fisher like seasons,
Yeah.
and then he's gonna go ahead, retire, and do whatever he wants. So that's my opinion on it. But I mean, obviously, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Long story short, I'm not taking us to win this week either.
I love it. All right, so Rams at Cowboys. Yo, what's good, LA Rams fans? How we doing? You guys are watching a lot of our clips. We can tell. We love it. We really appreciate the
Yeah,
support.
fuck
Go
you,
ahead and
Rams
subscribe.
fans.
Sorry, that's our co-host Ben. He gets a little hot-headed sometimes.
Nothing
Rams
but
are
love.
Rams are going to Dallas. They're going to Jerry World. The Cowboys are 6-point favorites at home. 45.5 is this line. What are we feeling on this one, Ben? What do we think? Cowboys obviously uh, been an interesting year for them, and Rams as
Yeah,
well. They looked good at times, and then
yeah.
they've looked miserable at times. So what do you think?
Has this not been like the most Cowboy season you've ever seen, where they go from just blowing teams out and then they're
Oh yeah,
losing games that they just have no business losing?
yep,
I'm going to take the Cowboys to win. I'm not ultra confident in that pick, but I'm
okay,
going to roll with the Cowboys to win. I think they're a better team. We know they're a better team. The Dallas Cowboys, as presently constructed, are a better team. They are. They should win this game. Would it also be the most Cowboys thing ever to see them lose by like 14 somehow? Yeah, it would. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win. I bet Dak throws a couple picks, but they find a way to win anyway.
yeah. I think that you made a good point here. It's the most Cowboys year ever, and I just want to give an example of that. I've got one of my best friends, Cowboys fan, diehard Cowboys fan for years. Week 3 comes along, whatever it was, week 4, texts me. He's like, I think Dal's the real deal this year. Like, I'm feeling good. Like, dude, they're the best defense in the league. Like, all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, I can't lie. They look good. They do. They really look good. And I think it might be a big year for them. Look at us now. Look at us now. I mean, not that it's ruled out, not that they're not going anywhere this year,
No,
but it's definitely possible that this team won't recover. And I mean, Tony Pollard has not been Tony Pollard. This O
they'll
line
make the
has not been this
playoffs.
O
They
line.
will be in the playoffs. There's no shot they miss the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, like at all. I would actually be shocked if they miss the playoffs. They're not winning a playoff game. No shot in hell they win a
Oh,
playoff game.
I got a question
No
for you,
shot.
Ben. Question for you. Do you think this is Dak Prescott's last year as a starting quarterback of the Cowboys?
Depends who's available when they're drafting in the first round,
Mm.
which is not really a true answer. But if one of the three top guys that we talked about last week, if one of those three are available, which I mean, we can assume that Drake May and Caleb Williams will be gone. But who knows about the other quarterbacks, as you just mentioned, very deep class. And there's always a couple guys that emerge late in the season. It's like, oh shit, like maybe they weren't getting enough attention. Maybe they should have gotten way more credit than
Yeah.
they were. Um, but no, I don't think that this is Dak's last year. I can't see it. I think given how much Dak has maybe underachieved in some people's eyes, I think in another sense, with the way that some people talk about him, he's overachieved in a million other ways.
Hmm.
I've said this to you 100 times. I've never seen a player get praised so much when they're playing well, and then shit on so much when they're not. There's really no balance
Yeah.
to the narrative around Dak Prescott. There's no balance at all. So I excuse me. I don't think that this will be his last year. I bet he has a few more in Dallas. I think the thing that will get him out of there is if they just have an absolute stinker year where they win like 4 or 5 games.
Interesting. Interesting. All right, and then on this game, really quickly, what do we think? Cowboys are 6 point favorites, 45 and a half is the over under. Uh, I'm kind of leaning Rams plus 6, but maybe
Yeah,
Dallas is due. So
yeah. No, I could see that. I could see that. I think that's a good line. I bet the Cowboys win by a field goal.
okay, you heard it here. We've got Jags going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 2.5 point underdogs at home. 41 is the line. The Jags are finally looking up. I remember, Ben, we were talking about it last week, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago. The Jags, we were waiting for them to really show us something and give us something to write home about. This is a
Right.
team that we're excited about, and they've been doing that in recent weeks. They've been
Yeah.
playing really well. I mean, Trevor's dishing the ball around. ETN is a top 5 running back so far this season, maybe 3. He's been phenomenal for them. Christian Kirk has emerged in recent weeks after having a good year last year, obviously signing off that big contract. Then you got Calvin Ridley, who's kind of been hit or miss, but if they can figure him out down the stretch, paired with Evan Ingram, paired with Zay Jones, who's been good at times. I mean, this is a team that's got all the pieces. One thing I think they really should do is go out and grab themselves a pass rusher. Yes, I know that was the goal with Walker by drafting him first overall. Listen, you gotta know when it's time to address an issue, and they're just waiting around for Walker to really prove he's a number 1 overall pick. And maybe he's just not that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just not that guy in pass rush. At least, I mean, I don't think he's doing well with anything
No,
necessarily,
that
but
that pick is mind-boggling. It's absolutely
yeah, I mean,
mind-boggling. It
imagine
makes
this
it
team with
makes no
Hutchinson.
sense.
Imagine this team with Hutchinson, which is who they could have had,
Yeah.
and who we both thought they should have taken. But
Yes.
uh, one thing I will say is here, if they go ahead and they grab a pass rusher, I mean, there's definitely pass rushers around the league that they can go ahead and grab. This is a team that I feel good about taking the Jag. I feel so much better about taking the Jags, and it's pretty obvious about taking the Jags to win the Super Bowl than I did with the second team I took with the most money. Um, which is the Chargers, and then the Bengals are right up there with those 3. Those are the 3 teams that I put the most money on. But honestly, I feel the most confident with the Jags, even over the Bengals. Even though I think that they're going to start to turn it around in recent weeks, and this week will be a big one for them. We'll talk on that in a little bit here, but Jags are 2.5 point favorites going to Pittsburgh. Crazy atmosphere there. I just think the Steelers have a lot of things to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Is his defense going to be a top defense in the league, or are they going to get ran over like it's happened at times over the past few years, or is this Jags offense going to prove to be as good as it looks at times, or
Right.
is it going to be another a dud week like they happen to have the past 2 seasons? So I think the pick here, I kind of want to say over. I kind of want to go over 41 points. I think that, something's to be said for the Steelers using George Pickens more. And don't get me wrong, the Jags, they've got a good set of corners. And Pickens is going to have, a tough time with that matchup. But I think that Pickens is going to have a good game. I think that Jalen Warren is going to be that number 1 back in that backfield. I think Najee Harris needs to go. And I think they'll put up some points, but mostly the Jags. I think the Jags is going to be able to score a lot. ETN, like I said, looks great, and these weapons at receiver and tight end, they know how to run after the catch. They know how to make adjustments mid route. They know how to read their quarterback, Trevor, and he's been very impressive. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take this over. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. What do you think, Ben?
I'm going to take the Steelers in this one. I think the Steelers have been one of the most consistent teams all year. You kind of know what you're going to get. They're like a PB and J. You know what you're going to get. It's never going to be anything special. Um, but it's going to be a solid product, and it's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
solid effort. They're going to buy into what they have to do. Um, to this point of the year, I would argue that Tomlin or Dan Campbell are coach of the year. I think Tomlin's doing a great job with what I would consider a uh, pretty low amount of high end talent on their roster. It's a bit of a word scramble there, but I think the Steelers have been great, and I was pretty high on them before the year. I thought that they were going to be really good, and to this point they have been. And as we were saying a couple weeks ago, I still haven't bought in to this new Jacksonville Jaguars consistency that they've been playing with. To me,
Okay.
this is the perfect game where they go to Pittsburgh and they just flat out don't have it. The defense is a little bit
Very,
too much
very
for them to
possible.
handle. So I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one.
It's very possible. This might be a tipsy bowl of the week contender. Do you agree?
Yeah,
I'll take the Jags
we'll look
here,
at
but
the
we'll
rest.
we'll look at
We'll
the
look at the
rest.
rest.
But this is a contender right
This is
here.
up there.
Now we're going to the Battle of New York. Jets are going. They're traveling across the country to MetLife to go ahead and play the Giants. The Giants are 2.5 point underdogs. At home, home game either way, really. 36.5 is the over under. Very low, one of the lowest ones of the week, actually. And uh, this is one of those games that I'm gonna go ahead and say I think the Giants plus or minus 2.5. I think the Giants are gonna win by or sorry, apologies, Jets. I think the Jets are gonna win and take care of business. I think they're gonna cover. I think they could win up to 9 points.
Wow.
I think this team is just going to take over defensively. I believe it's Tyrod. I think there's a chance it's Daniel Jones. But I think if there's a chance it's Daniel Jones, I think they should just go with Tyrod anyway. Like we said
Yeah, I
last
agree.
week,
I agree.
they at a certain point you got to take the person that you think is going to give you the best chance to win, no matter the contract situation, no matter anything else. So as of right now, I mean, I think a lot of people will agree it's Tyrod.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think the Jets are going to go out there and, with that said, make Tyrod's life a living hell. And Sauce is back, I believe, and this team has got a good defense. Don't be fooled with this Jets team. Dalvin wants out. Maybe they get him going a little bit, but I think Brees Hall is going to have a big game against this Giants defense. And 36.5 is really low. I think they're just banking on the Giants not being able to score much. Not that the Jets can, but this defense might be good for a defensive touchdown. So if I had to go ahead and give a pick, I'm going to say Jets minus 2.5. Battle of New York. What do you think?
You know what? I think Battle of New York would be perfect for Tipsy Bowl of the Week because I'm going to go with the G-Men in
Oh
this one.
wow,
I think that the way
let's
that
do
they've
it.
responded to Tyrod Taylor and the way that he's been playing has been a joy to watch. And fuck the Jets. I don't fucking like the Jets. No one should like the Jets. The Jets are a bunch of losers. They're a
And
bunch of
you're
frauds.
also a closeted Giants fan, though. Don't lie.
Yeah, a little bit. Um, but no, like fuck the Jets. I hate the Jets. I hate anyone associated with the Jets. I hate Sal Giliberto. I hate Jason Tagarello. I hate all of them. I hate them all. So fuck the Jets. They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose the Battle of New York. They're a bunch of frauds. Zach Wilson's gonna turn back into Zach Wilson. It's just a matter of time. So I'm gonna go with the G-Men winning by 10 in this one.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Um, the next game we've got here on our marquee games that we're gonna go ahead and pick through. We're trying a little bit of a different setup this week. If you've watched all the episodes, we're gonna go through marquee games and games that we think are very important this week, and then we're gonna touch on some NFL storylines. And if the World Series is still happening, we're still gonna touch on that, as we will. If you're gonna interested in that, stay tuned. It's gonna happen right at the back of the show. Going to this next game, Ravens at Cardinals. 9.5 points is the line. Cardinals are 9.5 point dogs at home. 44.5 is the over under. I mean, I don't know if you're still on this I hate Jonathan Gannon train, but he seems like he is a solid head coach.
Who's
with what he's
Jonathan
working with
Gannon?
at least. The bus guy.
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. No, he's a loser.
Uh,
He's a clown.
this game's interesting though, because you know the Cardinals just seem like a team that they're always pestering back and they're always trying to cover. Near the end at least of games.
Yeah, no, no.
So
Okay, I honestly feel kind of bad. I know he'll never see this, but that was so rude. I know exactly who he is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was so rude.
he's
Um,
apologizing.
no, but like to like to I don't know what you just said. They are annoyingly like not horrible.
Yeah, and
Like they
Kyler is
don't
back to
go
practicing,
away. Yeah,
which I don't know if he's starting this week. I don't think
yeah.
so, but I mean, honestly, Dobbs has given them a decent chance though
He
this year.
has. Like, what game have they been playing in, or have they played in? And it's like, damn, they just don't belong in the field.
Yeah,
None of
you're.
them.
It's right.
None of
It's
them.
true.
So,
With that said, they're against the Ravens this
oh, with
week.
that said, they are playing my favorite out of the AFC to this point. The Baltimore Ravens are
Mm,
for real. They are
I love it.
fantastic. Lamar is playing like MVP Lamar again. It seems as if this offense is starting to mesh.
Yep.
We did say that earlier. It might take a little bit for all these weapons to come together, and it feels like they are right now,
Yeah.
especially off of that ass kicking of Detroit last week, which was just great. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens to win this one by 2 scores. So they'll cover that line. He's insane. And the other thing I love about Lamar, when have you ever seen him take an opponent lightly? You just don't see it. You don't see that out of him. Unlike a guy like Josh Allen, who's incredibly overrated and just is not that good at football.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson's the man.
Okay. One thing I want to see really badly, almost more than anything else, honestly, in this entire, NFL storyline of a year, I want the Ravens to go and trade a third round pick or whatever it's going to take. I think a third is pretty friendly the way that compensation's been recently. I mean, you can get fucking Patrick Mahomes for a 6 rounder nowadays, it seems like. I don't understand it, but um, a third, a fourth, whatever it takes, go ahead and get Derrick Henry, Ravens.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine
yeah,
the two biggest weapons rushing the football, maybe in the entire league,
dude,
pure
or
rushing
Saquon,
wise?
or
I mean,
Saquon.
or Saquon. I think Saquon's a little bit different of a case, just because
Well,
you
he's
know
always hurt.
exactly always hurt, but I think he's a little bit different of a case, just because uh, you know, I don't know. There's something there
You
for
just
me.
don't think he's that good.
No, no, no. I don't get me wrong. Saquon, I like Saquon a lot. I think he's a great person. I think he's a great
He's
player.
a great person.
I think he's a great player. I've had him on my. The reason why I've had him on my fantasy team too many times, where he's just gotten hurt and ruined my year. So there's a little bit of resentment there. Obviously, not
He's a
his
great
fault.
person. He's a great
But he's a
person.
great person. I've met him
He's
a
a
bunch of
great
times.
person.
And no, so I just think there's a different situation there. I don't know. Being the franchise
No, I
of
get
a
it.
New York
I
team
get
getting
it.
traded. I think it's just different. But I think Derrick Henry is. There's also here's a big thing with that actually. Tajay Spears, rookie out of Tulane for the Titans. This guy's been getting touches on touches on touches throughout the year. Even I think he started on the field the first snap. I think I might be wrong. Don't quote me. On this Titans team over this bull of a running back in Derrick Henry. So you've got him starting, just starting the year out, and then getting all these touches and snaps and all of these um, carries. I think that Derrick Henry is going to be out. I think they're going to trade him, whether that's to the Ravens or somewhere else. That we will see probably in coming weeks. But this is one of those things where it's more of a no-brainer that they trade Derrick Henry than that they move DeAndre Hopkins, because Hopkins is brand new there. Derrick Henry is not getting that extension. Even if Derrick Henry gets traded somewhere else, it's most likely going to be for a 1-year rental, in my opinion,
Right.
and then go to free agency with the way that the running back market has been. And then the reason why, to get back to you on that Saquon thing, is the Giants don't have a backup running back plan necessarily. They might have a rookie here or there, Matt Breida. that's not going to cut it. Tajay Spears is the real deal,
Yeah,
and
I
with the
mean the
bigger
Giants don't have a
role,
plan at quarterback either.
that too, and so I would love to see it. With that said, going back to this game, Ravens Cardinals, I think that the Ravens are going to take care of business. I think they're going to win. 9.5 is a lot of points. I think the Cardinals might just cover, but nothing that I want to give out as a pick here. Just I don't love it, to be honest. Is
Yeah,
that something you agree on?
no, I agree. I just the Ravens should kill them. They should, but who knows? Like the Cardinals, like
Mm-hmm.
they're not 9 point underdogs at home. Bad. They're just not.
No, 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 no. Off to this next one. We got the Bengals going to San Fran. San Fran Niners 3.5 point favorites here at home. 43.5 is the over under. As far as we've heard, I
Sammy
believe
D.
it's the Sammy D show. No longer Brock Purdy at the helm now that he's dealing with a concussion here. And I mean, this is an interesting game to read because you got McCaffrey, who played phenomenal, albeit banged up. Trent Williams again. I don't think Debo's playing this week, and this is a banged up team, and you're coming off. This is the Bengals coming off of a bye week, and in which Burrow is report saying that he's 100%. Whether that's true or not, I mean, you're coming off a bye, you'd have to think that, that calf is much better than, it was at any other point throughout the season. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a steaming hot pick here. Not only Bengals plus 3.5, I think the Bengals win this
Uh,
game.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm still gonna go the other way with it. I think you want an even hotter take.
Let's hear it.
I think Sam Darnold's going to play better this game than Brock Purdy has all year. I think Sam Darnold's going to look phenomenal in this system and with these
I actually like
weapons.
it. I actually
Like
like that.
I think Sam Darnold, just looking at him, I've always said this about Sam Darnold. I
Mm-hmm.
think the Jets screwed him. I think he was actually really good. I think he is a good quarterback.
Another
I still
USC
think he can find success
product.
in the right spot, and I think that the Niners could be that spot for him. And there's a reason that a guy like Kyle Shanahan, who is a quarterback whisperer, who might be the best evaluator of talent at the quarterback position
For
as a
sure.
coach right now, outside of Andy
And
Reid.
and maybe the best coach that leads to assistants becoming coaches. Because I
Right,
mean, Andy
right.
Reid, of course, right there, but all these guys that he's producing, I mean, don't forget about all these guys. Mike McDaniels, I mean, this guy knows what he's doing.
I I know I always say
If
it's
only he
not
could manage
about
a game and win a fucking big game.
it's
What a
he
legacy he'd
just
have.
he's in the Andy Reid Philly stage of his career right now. He doesn't know
I
how to
like
win the
that
big one
comp.
yet.
I like that comp.
But he will
Good
eventually.
comp.
Um, but look at who he's worked with at the quarterback position. Are Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy more talented than Sam Darnold?
I mean,
No.
they're both
No.
wildly, average talents at
I
QB.
think I think Jimmy is aggressively average as much as I love him and as much as
Yep.
I think he is good or was good. He's not good anymore. And as much as I think that Brock Purdy is a good football player, Sam Darnold has far more raw talent than either of them. And if he just ends up with the right guy and in the right system,
Mhm.
like we know that San Francisco is, I think he's going to play great. And listen, it's not like this isn't some new thing that if he were to find a way to find success after being labeled as a bust,
Yeah.
Jim Plunkett did so, and he won 2 Super Bowls after being labeled a bust. It's happened. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's going to win a Super Bowl. I'm saying that he can play well this week. But crazier shit has happened in the NFL other than Sam Darnold finding success with San Fran, which I think he will.
It's a good point. I really like the take. I think that Darnold, he might just go out there and steal Brock Purdy's job and
He
then make
could.
and
I
make
think
Purdy
he
a
will.
lifelong
I
backup.
think he will. Brock hasn't played well the last 2 weeks, regardless of him getting hurt. Obviously, don't want to wish injury on anyone. Hope he's better soon. He's been horrible the last 2 weeks. His last great game was probably week 1 of the season when they just kicked the shit out of Pittsburgh. That was probably his last great game. And that was honestly more about his receivers than it was about himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're trying to take a job away from Tom Brady. Let's put it that way.
Hey, that's a good point. I love the take there. And then we're gonna go off to our last game of the week that we're gonna cover. Raiders are going over to Detroit and playing this Lions team that's coming off of a brutal loss, maybe one of the worst losses this franchise has had in
Yeah.
a few years.
Yeah.
Lions are 8-point favorites at home against this Raiders team. 46 is the over under. I don't know if Jimmy G's back. I think he's expected to play this week, from what I remember hearing.
Last I saw, I thought he was questionable.
Questionable. I think it's questionable leaning to active, but who
Mm-hmm.
knows? Honestly, I don't think it makes much of a difference. I like the
Yeah,
Lions in this
yeah, I
one.
don't either.
I like the Lions in this one. I do think there's something to be said though. The Lions are dependent on a run game for Goff to be clicking at
Yeah.
the rate that we've seen him do the past
Mm-hmm.
2 years or so. So whether that's figuring out the run game without David Montgomery or figuring out how to best use this rush attack
Yeah.
with some injuries up front, injuries at the position players. Jameson Williams has been wildly underrated or
Underwhelming.
underwhelming, and it's been disappointing. Honestly,
Yeah.
I had big hopes for him, and it's been very
It's a
disappointing.
shock. It's a shock.
I think honestly, if I was going to be, give me a hot take here. Two things I think the Lions should look at. Jameson Williams, this is the week for him. Give him some deep shots, dial him up for some plays. If he doesn't show you anything special, you know what you do? You go out and you grab DeAndre Hopkins. That's what you go out and do. Or Mike Evans. There's
I I don't see the Mike Evans thing because I don't think they want to trade him in the NFC. That's the only reason.
okay.
I
That's
think
fair.
if the Pats find a way to win this week, I was texting you about this earlier in the week.
Evans.
If the Pats win this week, which huge if, biggest if ever, I don't see it happening. If the Pats win this week, you have no excuse to not trade for Mike Evans. None at all.
He just
None at
looks
all.
like a Pat too.
Because
Like he just looks good
he
in a Pat
does.
jersey.
And if you're gonna be in the middling stage of we're mediocre, we're only gonna win 8-9 games, well then fuck you. You better be the best of those 8 and 9
Yeah.
win
And at
9
least
win
take a
teams.
chance. At least take a
Honestly,
chance.
like if you're gonna put yourself back in the dance,
Yeah.
you better bring a hot date. So
Yep.
you gotta find a way to be more competitive,
That's a good
especially
point.
if you put yourself back in the playoff race. Which I mean, if they beat Miami, they're back in it.
It's a good point. Another thing I want to mention here, this Lions O line is so good. You know, I mean, David Montgomery should be back, whether it's, within the next few weeks. Jameer Gibbs has been underwhelming. Maybe it just takes him a while to get going. Like I'm saying, dude, if you can go ahead and get a 1-year rental with a fourth round pick in Derrick Henry, I think you go out and do it. I mean,
Yeah,
just imagine Derrick Henry lining up behind that O line. I mean,
yeah,
he's looking at 100 a game minimum. It seems like, I mean, the sky's the limit with that pairing.
yeah,
David Montgomery gets back. That's the perfect guy to mix in and be the Tajay Spears to Derrick Henry. And then, you want to use Gibbs still, of course. You could line him up at slot. I mean, it's not like he can't catch. He is Kamara like in the ability that he can catch. He can go out there and he can line up and catch. So, maybe you try
yeah,
something like that. I mean, the Lions look so close, and they don't let injuries ruin being so close for the first time in years for this
right,
franchise
right.
of going to a playoff game
Also,
and you're really
though,
having a future.
don't let these injuries ruin your continuation of being good. Don't reach on something to try to supplement these guys that are out when you kind of don't have to in order to make the playoffs. I think not even like we think of this. What are they? 5-2 now. You can get to 10-7, 11-6 if David Montgomery doesn't play another game. You should be able to do that.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
should be able to. Um, so don't go out there and reach on something and give up valuable assets, which would then keep you from being able to maintain the success. That's new
Hmm.
to you. To me, that would be something I brought up the other week. That would be a sign of them not being used to the success that they found. You need to know first you need to know how to win, or first you need to know how not to lose, then you need to learn how to win, and then you have to learn how to find like sustainableness in that winning, which is what Bill's done so well. Obviously is the Pats coach other than the last few years, but
Yeah,
that's what him and Tom did so well.
it's a good point. It's a good point. This is a team that's very promising, and I think they should be buyers at the deadline because you haven't been you know historically a good franchise.
They could use another
Obviously,
receiver for sure. For
they could
sure.
exactly they could use another weapon on this offense, and while you're at it, try to get a rental at pass rush or on the defensive side. I mean, you're this close for
Imagine
the
if the
first
Pats
time
are
in
really
years.
bad, like really bad, or not even imagine they are really bad right now. They're 2-5.
What are you
Um,
thinking, Uche?
yeah, like why wouldn't you try to get Uche?
I I think the Pats have to make a decision on what we want to do roster wise, and I think the Lions should also make a decision. Should we just send it, man? Should we do
Yeah,
it? Because how many times are you going to get a team this solid with a lot of pieces healthy and a lot of momentum? So
I know he's not your typical Super Bowl quarterback, but your quarterback did go to a Super Bowl, regardless of what team he was on
yeah,
and who was coaching him,
yep,
and the fact that Aaron Donald was his teammate. Whatever excuse you want to come up with,
he did it.
the guy went to the Super Bowl. You
Yeah,
can't take that away from him. He
no.
did go. So you have a guy who has a pretty impressive resume, was a first overall pick. I don't know why I'm really ranting because I think Goff has gotten the respect that he deserves, but
Yeah,
I think that people are kind of leaving the Lions out of that Super Bowl conversation. And a little hint of the reason as to why, I would say a lot of it has to do with Dan Campbell. I think everyone loves Dan Campbell, but they don't really see him as a Super Bowl coach. And I don't think people look at Goff as a true Super Bowl quarterback, which I think it's time to let that go. I listen, he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. He might need some stuff around him, but when he has that stuff around him, which he does right now, he's hovering around top 10 in the league. And
hmm,
that's all you need to get to the Super Bowl. It's real good defense, good coaching, and a top 10 quarterback. That's all you need today.
agreed. And a few more picks I want to rattle off before we get into our MVP check-in, and then the World Series, baby. I want to say other than the picks I've already given out here, I like the Texans money line against the Panthers. They're 3.5 point favorites. I like the Falcons money line against the Titans. They are 3 point favorites, and I think that has to do with Chris Long said this, and he made a great point. It's just like in baseball. It's just like in any other sport when you're looking to shop an asset, you don't want to play them the week before, or at least you don't want to play them that much because if they get hurt, then their trade value goes out the window, and that hurts a lot of what you were planning on doing. So I think that's something here with Derrick Henry or maybe even DeAndre Hopkins. Uh, it's potential that they can get moved, in the next few days, next few weeks, whatever it is. So I think it's something to watch. Maybe they're going to be on a snap count or just not even playing at all. So give me the Falcons money line there. I like the Browns +4. The Browns +4 going to Seattle. Seattle's very banged up. Kenneth Walker's
Yeah.
questionable. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, I believe, are questionable. I don't think Lockett's going to play, actually. I mean, don't quote me on that, but beat up team. I think the Browns defense will get it done. And then give me the Chiefs -7 against this Broncos team. Another team that is going to be shopping, whether it's Judy, whether it's Sutton, whoever it is, or both of them. They're going to be shopping some dudes. And so maybe they're not going to be playing as much as they would in a normal
Yeah.
week. So those
Yeah.
are some of the picks that I wanted to throw in there. And without further ado, let's go into our MVP check in here. Looking at as of one day ago, Pat Mahomes, once again, surprise, surprise, is the favorite. Last week's favorite was
How?
Tua.
I don't. I can give you. I can give you three guys that are ahead of Mahomes right now. Like undebatably are ahead of Mahomes, and two of them are on the same team. Tua's ahead of him, Tyreek's ahead of him, and Lamar's ahead of him. Like undisputed, those three guys mean more to their team right now than Pat Mahomes does. They just do. They just do. The Ravens would suck without Lamar. I'm not saying the Chiefs would be great without Mahomes, but and Tua and Tyreek, dude, this is the best duo we've seen since fucking Tom and Randy Moss. It's insane. It's crazy. So I really Pat, I'm so sick of the Pat Mahomes like obsession. I'm already over it, and it hasn't even been that long.
Hey man, I've been saying for a while now that everyone's got to chill. Everyone's got to chill a little bit
How is
on
he
Pat.
the MVP of the league? Are we not watching the games? Like last week was his first insane game. Honestly,
I think it's more so seeing him get hot. Obviously last week, I believe what over 400 yards, four
yeah,
touchdowns.
yeah,
Best game so far this season for sure.
it's
I think
phenomenal
it's
last
more
week.
so more so people thinking, "Hey, he's going to start doing this every week now, so get in ahead while he's not, minus odds. Get in while he's plus 275 on some books." So that's kind of my logic there. But to read off the top five: Pat Mahomes, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and then there's a big leap to Josh Allen at five. This is interesting though. There's no way this is right. There's no way this is right.
Where's Tyreek on that?
Hmm. It says this came out today, but for some reason, Aaron Rodgers still has like his odds up.
There's
There's
no
no
shot.
shot this is right.
No shot.
But I mean, it's Vegas Insider. Maybe Vegas knows something. What if he comes back and he wins MVP the last like 3 games?
I'll never watch the NFL again if he comes back and wins MVP.
Here we go. So yeah, no, it was correct. Purdy actually is ahead of Josh Allen. But so this is interesting. You were looking for Tyreek. Tyreek's not even on this list right now, Ben.
How?
McCaffrey is on the list.
How is Tyreek Hill not on that list?
McCaffrey's on this list right now.
Who?
Uh,
Who is?
I'm looking. I'm searching the web right now, trying to find one site that can give me an article saying that the odds are updated. And here's Tyreek. But
How?
here he is. Here he is. Here he is. Ooh, plus 5,000.
All right, that's great. That's great value.
He's below Dak. He's below Herbert. He's below Burrow. Burrow's had a really rough
That's
year.
absurd. Like, that's absurd. How
That is
is
absurd.
how? 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 Like what?
All right.
I
So
swear
who
to
do you
God.
like? Who do you like? Are you going with Tyreek?
Tyreek.
Okay.
And Lamar. Lamar was my preseason pick, so I'm going to stick with it. But has
I
anyone
like the Lamar pick.
has anyone meant more to their team so far this year than Tyreek Hill?
I mean, I love Tyreek.
He
You're not gonna
changes the whole
find me.
operation.
Yeah.
If you take Tyreek off of Miami, they have half the offensive production.
All right. Wait.
Half.
Real quick. Can I say something here? And correct me if you don't agree here. Is the MVP like really watered down this year? Like nobody's really blowing me away.
Well, no. I'm
I
actually
mean,
happy you said that. The one guy who's blowing me away is Tyreek.
and
He's the
that
one guy.
justifies, yeah, and no matter his position, that justifies for him to be, looked upon
We're
as
we're
that.
we're, we're watching a league where a fucking kicker has won MVP. You're telling me a guy who's gonna get 2,000 receiving yards can't be MVP? Like, what are we doing? Honestly, what are we doing?
If I got to go ahead and give a pick, I do think Tua will slow down throughout the year, and obviously, if Tyreek's doing good enough to get MVP votes,
That's
Tua's
the
probably going to
thing.
win the
That's the thing.
MVP.
If Tyreek keeps going, That means Tua is going to keep going. And then it's like, well, most of the time they pick the quarterback,
Yeah.
which I still think that in '07, Randy Moss really should have won MVP over Tom. The only thing is, like, Tom threw 50 touchdowns and he broke the record, so, like, you kind of had to give it to him. But Randy Moss was the heartbeat of that team. And I feel the same way about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is easily the most important player on that team. So regardless of Tua's stats, I'm still going to say Tyreek Hill because I think he's the biggest reason as to why Tua has his stats. Tyreek Hill could find these stats with any quarterback in the league. Tua would have nowhere near these stats with any other set of receivers in the league.
Okay, if you had to give me a quarterback one, as of
Lamar.
right now, you're gonna ride
Lamar.
with Lamar.
Yeah.
I'm looking at something right now. I want to see.
Or Mac
Um,
Jones.
well, Mac's the obvious one, Ben. You're not supposed to give
Yeah,
the
yeah,
obvious
yeah.
obvious
Right, right,
answer.
right, right.
You're supposed to give a
I was just giving my
an
dark horses.
opinionated.
Before I was giving my dark horses, then I thought I'd state the obvious one.
uh, so far, yeah. You know what? I want to be different here. There's nobody I really love. I don't want to give Mahomes, even though honestly probably will be because, like we said, nobody's really blowing us
If
away, and I
Mahomes
don't
wins
think Tua's gonna win it.
MVP again, like, dude,
I Ben, I agree with you. I'm gonna say Lamar is gonna be my midseason pick. My pick coming into the year was Joe Burrow. Boy, was I wrong on that one. But it's
that
not
wasn't
too
your
late.
fault. He just got hurt.
Yeah, it's not too late on him. And I was so high on the Bengals. They were my Super Bowl pick. And you know what? Honestly, I'm not the type to switch. I think I might just ride them out as my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
And but I have to make the switch off Burrow. That's not going to happen. I think Lamar Jackson is solid pick there. So I like that, Ben. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to tell you that is my midseason MVP check in here. And so we're going to go into some MLB here. World Series talk. I mean, what a postseason it's been so far
Crazy.
from Kyle Schwarber and the Phillies going off and getting super hot like they do seemingly every postseason
And then
now,
cooling down.
and then cooling down. And you're right, losing to this Diamondbacks team, the Snakes.
The
I
sack
mean,
on that
talk
team,
about
dude.
them. Talk about them.
The sack on that team. That's crazy. Good for them.
Just like this. Just I love to see it. I mean, such a young team, such a team that like I,
A
I mean,
team you've been
there's
high
no words
on
to
for
say.
2 years now. You've been
This is
high
a
on what they've been building for 2 years now.
I've loved it. I love what they're doing. Corbin Carroll is a gamer. Ketel Marte finally getting the recognition he deserves as this jersey represents. He's a dog, man. He is so good. But more than that, I mean, this pitching rotation is very good. This bullpen has some really good pieces. And then you just look at this lineup. I mean, they've got guys that just step up. I mean, Alec Thomas. Are you kidding me? I mean, this guy comes in, hits a home run into the fucking pool
Yeah.
in the biggest moment of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, he's. I mean, can you believe that? Like the
They have
pressure on a
stones. They
young
just have
athlete like that.
stones.
Corbin Carroll, young again, rookie. I mean, this team is full of dogs. This team is unreal. Corbin Carroll was getting MVP votes most likely for the regular season as a rookie. I mean, this guy is unreal. This whole team. You got Zach Gallen. You got some great moves, honestly, managerial wise from that manager, and then you also got general manager moves that have set up this team, like Gabe Moreno at catcher. I mean, this team is very impressive. But then you look at the other side, and you go to this Rangers team, a team that we've liked all year, we've talked about all year.
So
The
much
bats
pop.
here
So
are
much pop.
insane, and Scherzer is back, which is a positive, and he's been pitching, but can you imagine what this team would be if they had a fully healthy Scherzer and a fully healthy DeGrom? I mean, this
Dude,
would be one of the scariest
imagine
teams you could see in the postseason. You
imagine if
got,
they win though.
I mean, Evaldi, Jordan Montgomery. I mean, these guys are playing out of their minds. If they had a fully healthy Scherzer, obviously Scherzer's not fully healthy right now, but he's still pitching. And then if they had a fully healthy DeGrom, I think you could make the
They
comment
would
here.
sweep.
You could make
They would sweep.
exactly, you could make the statement here that they'd have 4 ace level
Yes.
players right now, as of
Yes.
right now. I mean, the
Yes.
way Montgomery's pitching, the way Evaldi has been pitching for the past few years, and he needs some
Yep.
respect because he was a dog with the Pats, and he's been just as
The
good with the
Sox. The
Rangers.
Sox.
Oh, with the Sox. Fucking get my sports mixed up
He
and shit.
he never got enough credit when he was
Uh
on the
huh.
Sox,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it had to do with how good Sale was and how much people love to blow Garrett Cole, even though all he does is choke. Um, but no, I agree with you all the way. The thing that would really suck, I'm rooting for the Rangers. I'm openly rooting for the Rangers to win. The thing that would suck about it though, must suck to be Jake DeGrom and watch your team win a World Series. Like that must
uh,
be the biggest kick in the
yeah.
balls ever.
It's the same thing with Acuna. I mean,
Awful.
Ronald Acuna, he was out the year they win it, and then
Awful.
the teams looks like they're 2 times as good this year, and they can't
And
get
they
there.
can't
So
win.
it's crazy how it happens. Baseball is an insane sport. With
Baseball's
that
the most
said,
unpredictable sport in the world. It
oh,
really
and I
is.
love it. And my favorite thing is, I was talking about it recently. You're watching this game, right? And what is it? I forget exactly, but tight game, right? Close game, bottom of the ninth. They're going out there and they're pitching to dangerous hitters, whether it's in the Phillies or at points in this Rangers series. The Phillies have bats, obviously. We all know it. And the D backs, it's not football where they could just take the knee. It's not basketball where they could dribble around the clock out. In baseball, you have to sack up and throw a fucking
Right.
strike down the middle
Right. You
in
got
order to
nowhere to
get
run.
through it. There's
You
no
got
way
nowhere to
around
run.
it. You can't run, you can't waste clock, you can't take timeouts like that. All you have to do is just throw it and hope for the best, give your best pitch, hope your field makes a play and that you're better than the guy across from you. And that's what makes baseball so beautiful. I mean, all it takes at moments like that is a bloop and a blast, a hit by
Yep.
pitch and a home run, and they tie this game, and then they could win this game. Whatever it is, that's what makes baseball so good. So that's why I'm so excited for this World Series matchup. Once again, Diamondbacks are going to Texas and playing the Rangers. Rangers are home, 8:03 as of the time this is coming out. It's today. It's on Friday, game one. I'm so
Yep.
excited. Ben, I want to hear your thoughts on who you think's winning the series and how many games and who is going to be the biggest factor on why they do it.
So I'm going to take the Rangers in 6. Um, they're unreal, and I I think you're going to see this is going to be a hot take. I think you're going to see a bit of a mad bum type performance out of Nate Eovaldi. I think that's what it's going to take. I
Mm,
think you're going to see him
yep,
similarly to what we
I
saw
like
with
that.
Sale in the World Series against the Dodgers. I think Eovaldi has that kind of shit that you need to be, just as you said, a gamer,
Yeah.
a big time clutch pitcher in October. I think Eovaldi hits all those marks. We've seen him hit all those marks. He's already a World Series champion. But I think he's going to do kind of what kind again, kind of a hot take. He's not as good as Kurt Schilling was, but what Kurt Schilling brought to that '04 Red Sox team, I think you're seeing Evaldi bring that to this Rangers team, and it's had a profound impact on everyone. And then
Yeah.
obviously Scherzer there as well. That you can't say enough about that. So I'm gonna go with the Rangers in 6. World Series MVP. I'm going with Nate Eovaldi. I think he's been so good. I think he's gonna keep it up. I think he's gonna get it done.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. I mean, especially, former Red Sox.
He's the guy
Wow.
I want. Like, the reason I'm rooting for the Rangers to win is Nate Eovaldi. So obviously it's a very biased pick, but I don't care. I love Nate Eovaldi. I unapologetically love Nate Eovaldi. Every time he comes back to Fenway, you can tell that he misses being at Fenway. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rangers for that reason.
Okay, right now, so there's two things that I'm looking at with when I go to pick this. Uh, Great World Series, honestly. I mean, it's not the World
So
Series
good.
anyone expected, but I love
This
it.
is a
It's
baseball
it's
purist World
and
Series.
it's refreshing. It's refreshing for all the viewers and
It
all the
feels
fans.
new. I like that there isn't a lot of bandwagon on
Yeah,
either side in this matchup. It's just two hardcore and deserving fan bases that get to see their teams in the biggest spot in a while. I mean, dude, how long has it been since, I mean, the D backs, obviously, we know how long it's been. But the Rangers, too, it's been a sneaky, what, decade since they were there? So,
Yeah, man,
exciting times.
it's very exciting, and I'm glad you brought that up. Here are the two things that I'm looking at in this matchup, right? I'm looking at experience in the postseason and experience in general in the league, and some a little bit of veteran in you. And I'm looking at, do you have it guys? Do you have it guys like you just said that can carry a team and put the team on their back, and through everything else give you those big poppy moments where
Yeah.
he's stepping up to the plate and he's hitting a grand slam in the perfect time. I mean, can you imagine that? I think that that plays well with what the Rangers have.
Yes.
So the Rangers have, Corey Seager. They've got all these guys that have
Dude, it's like
experience.
1 through 9. They have it up and down their lineup. It's
I mean,
crazy.
exactly. And a lot of the time, I mean, this is what you're looking at. You know, veteran guys. There's Evan Longoria on one side, obviously, but then on the other side, there's Corey Seager. And Corey Seager has just been, the pop that this guy brings, the pop in this lineup, the pop by Adolis Garcia, the
So good.
Marcus Simeon. I mean,
So good.
you got Nathaniel Lowe, you've got Jonah Heim, you've
Garver.
got Evan Carter. I mean, the rookie. I mean, this is a team that is so stacked. Josh Young, so good. I mean, this is such a good lineup, and we talked about this all year long. I really think the Rangers are going to pull this one out. Uh, it's been tough. I've been bouncing back. 5 games, 7 games, 5 games, 7 games. Are they going to be dominant, or it's going to be a close one? Just for the factor of
It does smell
the
like a
youth.
7.
It smells like a 7. I'm going to go with the smell. I think it's going to be a 7 game series here. I do. I think it's going to be a 7 game series here. I think we're looking at a team that's going to be hungry in the Diamondbacks, and then we're looking at a team that's just going to hit the shit out of the ball and then
Yeah.
pitch in big moments, like you said, Evaldi,
Yep.
Montgomery. Um, you know, I think a guy like Chapman can really do a lot for his legacy if he goes out there
He
and
can.
instead
He
of what
can.
he seems to be doing in recent history when he gets out there and he gets wild and it's a disaster. I think he might be able to go out there and just dominate. I mean, if he goes out there and dominates, what does that do for his legacy? I think that's a sneaky pick for a guy that can really improve on a already great legacy. So
Right. Right. But don't you think that Evaldi has a better chance to do it? Because Chapman kind of already has this legendary feel to him because of how hard he used to throw the ball.
mhm,
And everyone remembers growing up, it was like, oh, you see Chapman hit like 107 today. Like he was just throwing the shit out of the ball.
yeah,
This kind of World Series win would make a guy like Nate Evaldi. He's not just now beloved by Red Sox fans or or Rangers fans. He's beloved by the whole baseball world. If you find a way to win this World Series and add another ring on your finger, he just, I don't know. He just seems like such a good dude too. I'm rooting for him. I really want him to win.
hmm and if I got to lock in a MVP pick here, I love the Evaldi one. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say Adolis Garcia.
Yeah,
I think
that's who I
he's
would have gone with if I didn't go with
Yeah, I
Evaldi.
think he's just gonna get super hot like
He's
he's
so
been.
good. He's so damn
He's
good.
been phenomenal. But I think a big reason why I'm gonna go ahead and give him this. Um, this guy's one of the best defenders in the league. He's got the best arm maybe in the entire MLB. I think that there's gonna become a time where it's gonna be, you know, Corbin Carroll's at third, 1 out, big inning, big game in the series. It's going to be a fly ball to right. Carroll's going to tag, and Adolis is going to dot him. And
Yeah.
it's going to be one of the craziest plays in World Series history. The fastest guy in the league, pretty much, and the best arm in the league on the other side. And it's going to be such a sick moment. And I think his arm and his defense is going to do just as much as his bat is. And I think this Rangers team is going to win because of his presence, both in the outfield and as a hitter in this lineup. So go ahead, give me the Rangers. I love this series. I'm very excited with it, and I'm happy that this is the draw we had. Even though I had some money on the Phillies. It's okay. I do have something still in the works here. If the Rangers win the World Series and the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I have a nice solid one coming up. Definitely some crazy odds
Definitely
there.
one of those teams is definitely closer than the other.
Yeah, yes, for sure. But I'm excited for it's gonna be a fun matchup.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean we're excited to see what that has and bring a lot of reaction and social media posts for you guys based on this and the NFL, of course. So if you're gonna follow along, go ahead and subscribe, follow us, and we got another big deal coming up soon where we're gonna unleash it on you guys next week. So be ready, be excited, and thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate it, like always. So go smash that subscribe button, follow us on all platforms, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.